Good evening, Otherworldlies. This is Juliana Angel, your dark masked diva. So, you guys, I thought I would actually finally tell you what the deal is, what the red flag is about the guys who say, I can cook, okay? You know, I'm always talking about that. I'm always like making jokes about it and stuff like that. There's actually a reason why that's a red flag when they say that, okay? There's a few reasons ranging from it being funny to it being like serious, okay? So first of all, I'm going to tell like kind of a funny story about it, about, you know, a time that I was kind of mean, but to a time that was very serious, all right? So I'm going to, Otherworldlies, start out with a story a long time ago when I was in my 20s. I had this friend who was kind of a bozo. He was at my house, and, you know, of course he was a guy who said he couldn't cook. Now, the thing is, okay, before I get into it, the thing is, it's good for everybody to know how to cook. Cooking is a basic skill. Everybody, you know, should know how to make themselves food, okay? So if somebody says they like to cook, that's cool because, you know, everyone should like to cook. Everyone should like to make themselves food. And if you don't know how to make yourself food, that's kind of weird. Okay. So, but you need to, any guy who brags about anything, okay, whether it's his bedroom skills or he can cook or anything like that, especially guys who say, I can cook, that particular thing. Okay. That's, it's the thing about that, okay, that particular thing is a problem, okay, and there's a whole bunch of reasons for it, all right? So I'm gonna start out with this first story, all right? So I had this friend who was a bozo, okay, and I let him stay with me for a little while, all right? So first of all, he decided that he could cook, and he wanted to cook me this meal, right? So for some reason he thought he was the chef and everything. So I sit down and it was like scrambled eggs and some other stuff. All right. Well, I didn't know what was wrong with him, but he had like no palate. Okay. So I go to taste the food and I start choking on it. And I'm like looking around for some water, and I drink the water and I'm choking, and I'm like, okay, he put so much freaking salt in that food. And I'm like, is he trying to kill me or something? He put a lot of freaking salt in the food. Now, I'm one of those people who likes to put a lot of spice. Like, I like a lot of hot spice in food. Like, a lot. Okay, I can tolerate a whole bunch of spice. I love it, right? Because I'm from California. We put a lot of spice in our food here. That's something I grew up with. We always spice the food here, okay? But for some reason, I'm like, did you put half the bottle of salt in these eggs? Like, you know, what did you do? And I'm like, oh. So I gave the eggs to him, and I said, you need to eat these. I'm going to watch you eat these eggs. And you know, because I don't want you to think I'm being mean. I'm going to watch you eat the eggs. Because did you try these before you gave them to me? You know, I wanted to watch him eat them. And so, you know, I sat down to watch him eat the eggs, and I'm just like watching him, right? Because I think he's playing some kind of like practical joke on me or something, because, I mean, for someone like me who can tolerate a lot of spices, and I mean, he almost made me choke to death, okay? So he's eating the eggs, and he goes, oh yeah, they are really salty, and he's just looking completely confused, and I'm just looking at him like, you're the guy who can cook, huh? Okay. So I said, well, you know, I really don't want you to make me anything else. I think we're done for tonight, you know? So I'm just like, oh, these people who say they can cook, you know, what a crazy. So later on, you know, one time, soon after that, I put a pot on the stove to boil. Okay, so when something boils and nothing else is going on in the kitchen, I don't stand there and go and watch the pot boil. I go, maybe I run in, use the bathroom real fast, come back. So I put the pot on to boil. Right, turn it on. It's a full, you know, pot of water. I put it on to boil. It's going to take a while to heat up and boil, right? So I go in, use the bathroom for just a few seconds, come out, go check on it, and it's the burner's off. So I'm like, what? And I turn the burner back on. I'm like, is there something wrong with my stove? So then I turn it on and I'm like, that's weird. So then I go and I start straightening up things in the front room and everything like that. And I go to check on it again and the burner's not on. So I turn it on again, like, what the heck is going on, right? So I keep going on and checking it, and the burner's off. Every time I go in there, the burner's off, and I turn it back on. And so then I see him, and I start complaining, something is freaking wrong with my stove. I keep trying to boil water in there, and the minute I leave the room for 2 seconds, I come back, and it's not working. And he goes, oh, well, when you leave the kitchen, I turn it off. And I go, why are you doing that? I go, quit screwing with me like that. I go, it's not funny. And he goes, well, my mom will leave something on the stove and she'll turn it on and she'll forget it's in there. And I said, well, I'm 28 years old and I'm not senile. And this isn't your mom's house. I go, don't do that again. I said, in fact, I said, you're not allowed in my kitchen anymore. Okay? So he goes, but I can cook. And I go, no, you can't. You can waste food and almost kill me and apparently mistake me for your mom. You know, don't go in there again. You're not allowed in my kitchen again. And I mean, I was absolutely freaking furious. And here's the thing about this guy. He liked me. Now, here's the thing. If you've done that to somebody, I mean, because he kept turning it off and I kept going in there and turning it back on. And I would leave there for just a second. So he was watching me turn it back on and leaving for a second and running in there and turning it off. Let me tell you, that is a bozo trait. For somebody to be up under you like that and sabotaging your every move. That is a complete bozo trait. And this guy thought he could cook. And he's obsessed with following me around, sabotaging everything I did. Okay. That is a straight up bozo trait. So I told him, you're not allowed in my kitchen anymore. I mean, you know, I was just like, no. And this guy was just like, he was just like gaga in love with me. You know, I'm just like, no. Absolutely not. I mean, apparently, you know, a 28-year-old is senile and can't leave the room for 2 minutes without someone running in after her and watching everything she did and turn the burners off. You know, I said, is there some reason you think I'm your mom? I'm 28 years old, you know. I go, I'm not senile like your mother. You know, and I'm just kind of like, I'm about to go in on his mom. You know, not you know, talk about someone's mama, you know. That's like incredibly mean of me, but I was just like, that is just completely insane. Like, apparently, you know, there's something obviously was wrong with this dude. So, anyway, you know, I let him stay there, you know, as long as I said, okay, you're not staying here another month. You know, I'm not going to take your rent money. You're not staying here anymore, you know. And he was devastated. I said, I'm not going to let you, you know, I can't kick you out of every room that you're bothering me in. I mean, you know, you're just not allowed in there anymore. Now, the thing is, there are other reasons, okay, when guys say things like that. Now, if a guy tells you he's a foodie, okay, and he likes to cook and stuff like that, if a guy says, I like to do all the cooking in the house, red flag, okay? Don't deal with a guy who says stuff like that, okay? Here's the thing. Don't be like, oh, good, I finally get to take a rest and not do any more of the cooking and stuff like that. Here's the thing. The house is the lady's domain. Okay? If the guy says he likes to do all the cooking in the house, guess what? He wants you to do all the dishes. He wants you to do all the cleaning up. And he also wants you to do all the grocery shopping. Okay? I'm just letting you know that right now. So, the cooking is the fun part. I don't know if you know that or not. So, and he may even want you to buy the groceries. So, I'm just pointing that out right now, okay? And another thing, just letting you know, when guys are obsessed with cooking, all right, this is really serious. This is the serious part. More serious than how annoying that guy was and how mentally off he was and all this other stuff. when guys are obsessed with cooking for you all the time, okay, they don't want to take you out to dinner, okay, but that's not even the worst part, all right, okay, they're feeders, okay, and you're like, what are you talking about? All right, this isn't just a regular guy who likes BBWs. Do you know what a BBW is? Okay, it's like a lady my size or bigger. Okay, so that's okay if a guy prefers a larger size full-figured woman, if that's his type, okay? But let me tell you what a feeder is. Okay, a feeder is a guy with a control fetish. Have you ever met a guy who, say like you're overweight, and he's mentally mind gaming you to lose weight? Have you ever met a guy who tells you you're fat, and he tries to control you into losing weight and makes you feel bad about yourself and is always trying to make you exercise and telling you you're not good enough and telling you you're fat? Okay, so this is like the opposite of that. Okay, so I'm talking about a control fetish. Okay, so but these guys won't tell you they're doing it, so they're subtly making you unhealthy. Okay, they're not telling you they're doing it, but they're mind controlling you. All right, so this is what they do. They're always cooking, and they're making the food fattening on purpose. They're putting things in it that you don't know about, okay? And they're constantly feeding you, okay? So what they do is they want you to gain an unhealthy amount of weight. They want, like me, I'm overweight, but to them, I'm too skinny, okay? They would want me to gain 100, 200 pounds. Okay, so what they want to do is they want to make you morbidly obese or super morbidly obese, and they're constantly wanting you to gain weight. Okay, so the thing is, if you express any concern that you're gaining weight, and you need to because it's killing you, okay, it's giving you diabetes and all these other things, you should be concerned that you're gaining all that weight. It's not healthy. Okay, I'm not saying you're ugly. Okay, I'm not ugly. So you should be concerned that you're gaining all this weight, especially so rapidly. You should be concerned. It's not healthy. The man will get mad. He will get very, very mad. And he will act like you are attacking him personally. Okay? So he will try to do everything he can to fatten you up on purpose. Okay, and I know I'm saying the word fat, and that's not politically correct, okay, but he's fattening you up on purpose. He's trying to get your BMI as high as possible. Okay, he's doing everything he can to keep you in the house and get you as fat as possible. Okay, and it's a control fetish. All right, he wants to make you as fat as possible and keep you in the house as much as possible. All right, and it's a control thing. And he's also sexually aroused by it. But it's mostly a control thing, okay? It's a mind game. Okay, so, and he's also doing it so other men will not be attracted to you. Because normal men are not attracted to morbidly obese women, all right? There's a very few men are attracted to morbidly obese women. I'm talking morbidly obese. I'm not talking women my size. Okay, a lot of men are attracted to women my size. We're talking morbidly obese, unhealthy, should be in a clinic. We're talking Dr. Now deals with these women. Okay. Okay, can't shop in a regular store like this big. Okay, that's what I'm talking about. Can't leave the house. That's what I'm talking about. That's what they're trying to do to you. Okay. TLC. That's what they're trying to do to you. And they're called feeders. So they're trying to, they don't want you to lose weight. Okay, they're trying to make you unhealthy to where you can't even move. All right, so that's what a feeder is. Okay. Now, those aren't just men that do this. There are women that do it too. There are women that do it to men, and women that do it to other women, men that do it to other men. Okay, so that's not just men that do it to women, but these men that are I can cook, they will look at a normal sized woman and want to make her as big and fat as possible, okay? Because I've met a lot of men that did that, and they were trying to make me as big and fat as possible, and I was always like trying to lose the weight that they were trying to pile on me, and they would just get freaking furious. Now, I'm too big now, right? And I'm losing the weight slowly. Zen doesn't have a problem with it, all right? So he's not a feeder. He's a foodie, but he's not a feeder, okay? So he's not a sicko. I'm talking feeders. So these guys that talk about how they are always cooking and they like to be the cook in the house and stuff like that, you don't want that, okay? Because 99% they are feeders, okay? And the kitchen is the lady's domain. You don't want a guy in the way. You don't want a guy, hey, you left this water boiling, and hey, what are you doing in here? You also don't want a guy coming in and trying to taste the food while you're cooking and bothering you while you're doing your thing in there. Okay, is dinner ready yet? You don't want him in there bothering you while you're cooking. Okay, because that's, he's up under you. And the thing about the guy turning, the burners off and stuff like that, that was an extreme example, but you also don't want people bothering you while you're in the kitchen. You don't want to have to perpetually be kicking people out of there. That is your domain, and you're working in there. You don't want people bothering you, because cooking is an art. You want people to leave you alone while you're in there, because when you are cooking, you are multitasking, and you know how I feel about multitasking. So you don't want people in there bothering you while you're preparing food. Okay, because that can be dangerous. And you don't want people in there adding things to what you're making, because you're making it. You don't want somebody trying to help you cook. You don't need anybody's help. Okay? You want people to leave you alone while you're in there cooking. Now, you can take turns cooking, but if you have someone being a food pusher, okay, when you meet somebody new, you need to establish it right away. Make sure they're not a feeder. Tell them you like to be thin and trim, and you hope that's not a problem. And if they're like, oh, well, I like my women on the bigger side, make sure you don't give them a second date. Because they really they want you to be obese, okay? So obesity is, a national epidemic, okay? We don't need any of that. We're already too trapped in our homes as we are now, okay? We don't want, to be asked to get bigger. We don't need any more medical problems. We don't need any more health problems. The fatter you are, the more depressed you're going to be, okay? He's trying to trap you. He's basically trying to trap you, okay? So, and any guy who brags that he can cook, he can't, okay? You don't want any guy who brags about anything. First of all, that's a dumb thing to brag about. Men who brag about things, anything, like their bedroom skills, they're basically lying, okay? So, if any man brags about things, just, let men show you what they can do, okay? You want men to show you, because men love through action, okay? So when they're doing things, when they're doing nice things for you, when they're fixing things, okay, that's a masculine thing, for a man to fix something. You want him to fix something. You don't want him to brag that he can cook, because cooking in the house, okay, is a very feminine thing. Maybe he can barbecue outside, that's okay. But ask him, oh, are you a chef at work? If he says that, let him know that the kitchen is your domain. And if he goes, I can cook, just go, well, not at my house. Let him know that, the kitchen is your domain. Stake your claim, because really, when guys say that, make sure they know it's a turnoff. Because when guys say that, I want to say, I can hammer a nail. I mean, how much of a turnoff is that? A guy who says that is a feeder, okay? Because all the guys who, I can cook, we're either trying to kill me with the food they couldn't cook, or they were feeders. Okay, and I'm really dedicated to my fitness, and I know what kind of sick game they're playing. So it's really, they are really mentally sick. Okay, so you really, I've warned you. All right, they're feeders. Okay, so this has been Juliana Angel, your Dark Mask Diva, and fitness is key. And it's a mental control game. You guys, I will see you in the next content. Bye-bye.